This example of orchestras hiring more women behind the curtain is not an example of merit-based hiring. It was a start, but it's not the end. I'm Dr. Anna Kalschmidt. I research the unwritten rules of work for the working class and neurodivergence. I talk a lot about merit-based hiring because I'm trained in hiring, performance evaluation, and training, and all of those good things. And also because we cannot have merit if there's so many unspoken rules making decisions that only some people know about. In one of my videos about this, somebody said, so is a good example of merit-based hiring where professional orchestras started picking people behind a curtain, and they picked I think it was up to 40% women, while originally there had been 7%. It was a huge difference that clearly women weren't underperforming playing instruments. There was just too much bias in who was selecting it. They only wanted men. It wasn't a neat transition either. I believe they had the curtain, but they were still picking more men. And one of the reasons was audio. They could hear women's heels clicking. And so they still went and picked the women. So there were other things that gave it away besides seeing a woman. So they had to put carpet down on the floor, and then they started picking more women. But here's the thing that we don't talk about. Good music according to who? This author, which I believe this looks like a New York Times article. I don't exactly remember because this is a screenshot from another training that I did. This author points out the unwritten parts that are still being held. Good music according to who? Because if all of the panelists judging the orchestras are all white Western elites, they are still judging who is a good and bad musician based on one type of culture's music. And a good orchestra diversifies the music. This is where the visible has been acknowledged, though we're trying to go backwards in my country, and the unwritten is not. That if the musical forms that come out of the eastern parts of the world, the southern hemisphere, etc., if those are not included, if there aren't people making these decisions who are informed in more than one type of music, that we're not actually going to make much progress there. That is about more than the visible differences. This is the same tension that I point out to leaders all the time about why when you hire a group of people, but you force them to act just like you don't have actual diversity, and you don't reap the benefits of it either. I truly believe this is why, even though most data shows that diversity benefits organizations, not all of them do, because they bring people in and they say, okay, we want you to look different, but act just like us, which is very colonization behavior. I believe Trevor Noah has a great joke about this, where he's like, I understand mass unaliving. I don't condone it. I understand it. What's weird about colonization is coming in and making people act just like you. What a narcissistic, strange thing to do.